I'm going to do a quick video tour of the library. When you first come into the library, you will see this area. This is where you sign in. The iPad will normally be in this area. You sign in by putting your student number. Also, some of the iPads will be here if you're allowed to use an iPad. As you come into the library, there are some special displays of books. Anytime you see a special display, you can take that book out. You could take a book off the top of the shelves. This section over here are all the sports books, fiction, nonfiction, biographies of sports people. Then we go to mysteries, if you like mystery books. Then we have some horror and suspense books, books about like the Loch Ness Monster, vampires, then scary stories, books like the American Chiller series and Goosebumps series. Then we have some animal fantasy books, books where the animal talks. Then we have what I call low fantasy. Low fantasy are books that are a little bit easier to read, but still have magical elements, things that can't happen in real life. Again, here is a display. Some of these books are about Constitution Day, 9/11, and then some books about manners for the beginning of the year. As we come over here, we have some books that are also low fantasy still, and then high fantasy. High fantasy are a little bit harder to read, but still fantasy. We come over this way and we have books that are science fiction. Science fiction has things that can't happen in real life, like traveling to another planet, science that actually hasn't been invented yet or discovered yet. And then we have some time travel books. Over here we have action and adventure. These are books, usually they're realistic kind of, but you have characters or events that maybe are a little far-fetched, like some of the Stormbreaker series. So action and adventure, the Hatchet series by Gary Paulsen. This display right here has historical diaries. So if you like historical time periods and reading diaries of people from those time periods. This whole back section is realistic fiction. So fiction about boys and girls your age, things that could really happen. Then we start getting into historical fiction, and they're by time period. So we start with like ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, like Percy Jackson. Then we get into the explorers and the Revolutionary War, and then the 1800s. And then as you move over to the other side of the library, we keep going with the historical fiction, and we get into World War I. We've got Titanic books, pirate books, World War II, and then some events after World War II, like the Civil Rights Movement. Then we start getting into nonfiction, and nonfiction are organized by number, and there's some signs around that tell what the numbers mean. As you get into the 500s, you're talking about science, so we have space books. We start getting into animal books in the 590s, and they go all the way around. We have got insects and birds, mammals as you come around here. A lot of books about different mammals, and they're in alphabetical order by the name of the animal. We get into the 600s, which are health type books, and then books about different inventions. This spinner has some interesting things about vocabulary, languages, jokes and riddles. As we come into this middle section, we have pets. We have our dogs and cats section, horses, and then some more 600s and 700s. 700s sometimes are craft books, books about music. Our drawing books are over here. We get into the 900s. 900s are history, and if you notice some of the colored labels, they match with the historical fiction. So if it's red, that's explorers and Revolutionary War. Orange is the 1800s. And then we get over to other historical books over here, World War I, World War II, and after World War II. We come back around here. This long display right here is all math books. Lots of books about math. As we come around the corner, 800s, which are books about writing, poetry. Then we have some other general books, books about Maine.